moves, the target then moves to Africa. Because in the US, they're iterating everything, they're finding new solutions to security breaches. In Uganda, we are not yet there, and we need the support of the ecosystem in doing this. The other bit, of course, is on de-risking. I talked about the fact that our interest rates are 20, 21, 22%, depending on which commercial bank you're talking to. When you talk to the commercial banks, their feedback is that the level of risk in the sector is extremely high. The level of risk in Uganda is extremely high. The ecosystem players can play a role in hand-walking SMEs to proper governance, in hand-walking SMEs to proper accountability, in developing pipelines of investment-ready companies that can then be presented to funders who would be very interested in financing, but say, wait a minute, we have significant challenges with the risk profile. We don't know what the risk profile is. And there's a key issue. And we know this because on the daily, we get people walking into our offices and saying, what can we do about financing? But there's an absence, there's still an absence of entities that are willing to hand-walk companies into compliance. Enterprise Uganda is doing a good job, but it can't do it alone. We need more players in that ecosystem. And we urge you to take that opportunity up. Of course, even as we speak of that, there's also the fact that there's a lot of fragmentation in the business support ecosystem. The left hand does not know what the right hand is doing. And even when it does, there is no desire to merge efforts. We have 3 companies all looking at skilling youth, for example, as an example. And yet, perhaps if they work together, they will cover more ground and will then have more impact. The other bit on that is that the ecosystem players tend to talk a lot to each other and very little to their own takers of some of the services that are offered. And the challenge here is we then develop very nice solutions, but that are not solving problems. There are solutions in mind, but on the ground, those solutions cannot be matched. As a manufacturing association, we look at saying we welcome everyone and anyone to come and partner with us. To partner with us on data, on sourcing data, on analyzing data, on appreciating the actual situation on the ground, because then we can define solutions that speak to the need that's on the ground. The final bit of this is on resilience building. Is that running joke that has been going around now that says that it's only when the tide goes out that you know who has been swimming without grips. And the tide is out, and many people are naked. The reason is our mitigation mechanisms as a country, as manufacturing, as an ecosystem, are still extremely lacking. Risk mitigation is a key area where we need support as manufacturing and where all businesses need support. How do you plan for risk? How do you analyze the risk profile that's before you? And how do you ensure that when these risks happen, you're able to survive them? I'll tell you that talking to the average manufacturer, they'll tell you that they had anticipated at the beginning of COVID that they would have maybe 9 months, a year tops to deal with. And then they will be back to normal. So in their projections, in their plans, that's what they work for. Today we are pushing 2 years. If you think the number of companies that have closed in the past 1.5 years is big, wait until you do the analysis for the 2-year mark. You'll be shocked at the figures. Because even those that had survived are now against the ropes. how do we help them to transcend this period so that going forward, we don't lose the trajectory as far as jobs? Manufacturing has been said to produce 4 jobs for every 1 direct job created. So when you lose a manufacturing entity, get the number of jobs in that entity, multiply it by 4 to understand the indirect impact that this is having. But bigger than that is the impact of tax collection. Bigger than that is the impact on the economy in terms of our ability to export items, and we need assistance there. We also need assistance in market access, finding new markets, preparing for new markets, but also getting our message out to these markets. That's something that the ecosystem players can assist us with. As an association, we are very happy to be part of these discussions. We are very happy to talk to anyone who is interested in working with us. Our address is known. It's the Commercial Grounds at the Congo. And we know that there is a lot of potential. I know I've cast probably a picture of doom on what's happening, but it's just a reality check. Mine was to give a reality check to say, are the things we are doing really pointing to where we need to go, or do we need to re-examine ourselves? And I think we need to re-examine. We need to break the models that have been traditionally in place. We need to think afresh. And the ecosystem players have to play a key role in this. But you also have to pay significant interest to the policy environment in this country. The issues of discussing about taxes are not issues for only the businesses. They concern you. Because as an ecosystem player who is sourcing financing from an external party, who is partnering with an external entity, and at the end of the day, you're paying 30% in capital gains tax, that has an impact on who your partners are. So pay attention to the tax cycle, pay attention to the macroeconomic policies, because then you'll be able to make a difference. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I hand over to Abhi. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan, very much for that. Please, John, we're going to get a few questions. My mind is still reeling on the Congo thing, how Congo is importing milk and meat from Europe and Brazil. And people in Uganda are acquiring milk away. How Kenyans are sending goods to Congo. How we cannot have a projection of when machines are going to break down so we can prepare early. This is weird. I'm actually now just been posting the conversation in IT groups and technical groups because I had sort of limited it to the traditional business support actors. But it seems that we have to have cast a wide net to solve these issues. Next, we're going to just have a bit of feedback and a few Q&As. I'll let Ronald lead this. Please post in chat, and also we can start with a few queries here for people are present. And please, there's breakfast. Please, it's all right, you can be late. I'll show you how to eat. All right.
All right. Thanks a lot, Dan, for that. It's not a doom statement, by the way. I thought it was very clear. Did you enjoy it? People online, people in the room. I don't know. Possibly we'll let Dan have a seat and we will ask him to do. We're going to take a couple of questions regarding the submission which he has made. I think, in my opinion, one of the things which came out very clearly is, as BDS providers, we need to rethink our role in pushing the people we serve over the line. The numbers you gave us about the others, milk really can't get to a place which is less than 1,000 kilometers away. It is a sad thing, isn't it? And even the cows are closer to the border, the cows are the other side. At the very least, the milk should get there. Yeah. So there are a number of things. So I'll take a couple of questions. We'll do it for 15 minutes. And then we will wrap up our day. We want to be out by 9:30. But I'll take some questions from the room, from the people online. I think you are supposed to manage my online questioning. Yeah. So if there are any people in the room who want to make some comments, any responses, Moses, started.
I'll start. Thank you, Mr. Birungi. I think it was a wonderful presentation with a lot of challenges that we have been experiencing. I think many of us who sit here have experienced those challenges. In 2006, our company went to Sudan, Southern Sudan. We got a $4 million project to go and execute. We met Eritreans, we met Ethiopians, we met Kenyans. Eritreans, Kenyans, and Ethiopians were moving as corporations. Ugandans have been moving as individuals since to date. I remember one time the former president of Kenya, Mwai Kibaki, telling Kenyans that educated people should never fear politics and politics. And I think the biggest challenge we have, I don't know, is that our educated people and the elite business people fear politics and politics. And that is why I think we are going to fail to walk. Kenya will walk over us, Congo, because they influence policies around home and take it to the business, the other side. I don't know what Uganda Manufacturers Association is doing so that we create more advocacy around the business or the different entities. To me, if you try to look at advocacy forums in Uganda, you don't actually see it. I was a member of the milk producers people, Preline. Currently, I'm a member of UDCA, timber growers. We can't sell our timbers. They will tell you, no, you have no trees in Uganda. But Kenyans come and pick our trees. No policy around manufacturing trees into products. We could employ thousands of people. And Uganda can beat Kenya, all these other countries, hand down in timber manufacturing. I don't think even at UMA, you know much about timber manufacturing. It's a all gray area because I think advocacy and positive political advocacy in terms of groupings of people are lacking. So I don't know what we are going to do about this. Thank you.
Lovely, lovely. Yes. Advocacy and policies.
Thank you, Mr. Birungi, for the interesting and insightful speech. I have a very interesting interaction. Last year, as a mover, we noticed obviously the manufacturers were affected. I had discussed with some financial people who work with, can we propose something? I think we had just had a meeting, it was a forum meeting which had just happened after. And actually I had interacted with some of the colleagues, shared things, really looks good for our members. I shared I said, all you need to do is if you can mobilize, you can have these people share what they have to offer, and those also interested can participate. But I won't mention the names, but
were deliberately informed that, you know what, even informing these members is a cost. So I said, I thought this is for the value of your members who actually survive. Is there any way we can actually collaborate and help these members? So I found it very interesting that within there's still a barrier, and sometimes it's not probably just in the organization, but in many of our organizations, sometimes we want to solve the problem, but within we also don't appreciate that room to collaborate allows us to solve the problem. So one of the challenges I found, and I had to get up to tell the financial, for not seeing to actually reach out or communicate, even if it is a medium, they say that one comes at. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. There are a couple of comments coming through online before I invite Dan to share with us on them. Yeah, there are a couple of people saying thank you for the message from Saul, from Dr. Edward Isingoma. Very good, Daniel, and I agree with your impact thoughts a lot. Dr. Isingoma is from Pearl Capital. Doctor, how are you? They've worked with UMA a few times, and you are aligned to the development impact perspective and a key ecosystem player. I think that's Dr. Isingoma. Thank you for that. Doctor, thanks for being part of this call. Proceed from Massive Corps asks, how is UMA leveraging on the support of other ecosystem players to address issues around government policies to provide an enabling environment for Uganda's manufacturers? I'll give a chance to anyone who is online who wants to speak up. I'll give you a moment, then we will invite Dan to respond. If you want to comment, any comment, you could put up your hand, and then we can be able to receive it. Right, Dan, possibly you can come and answer this.
On policy space management, how do you create awareness on policy? How do you advocate? And this is something we've grappled with as an organization as well for the longest time. I think our key realization was that policy is not determined in us talking to each other. This is a precursor, but policy is made by government. And you have to be willing to engage these government entities. I tell you that just yesterday we were in a meeting with the Commissioner General of the Uganda Revenue Authority on tax issues. Next week we have an engagement with the Ministry of Trade on the same issue. Next week we have another meeting with the Ministry of Finance. The first step is understanding who are the key value chain actors as far as policy is concerned. For the timber sector, on our side, we do have a furniture sector, which is a direct beneficiary of the timber sector. And I'll take your contact because one of the things we're working on now is we are doing a value chain mapping to understand the interplay between the different levels of the value chain. How does timber get from the forest to the processing mill, to the drying center, to the furniture maker, and then onwards to the market? Because then, having understood that and the weaknesses at every point, we are then able to push forward policy. But my bigger discussion on policy, and this also answers policy, in as far as leveraging other ecosystem players is concerned, is that we have two key needs. One is that being a manufacturing association doesn't mean we are the experts in manufacturing. The experts are the people who own the factories. So one of our key strengths is that in determining policy suggestions, we call on the people who are actually in the field, the people who understand this. We don't do that on our own. So they will then tell us that, look, tax X, which has been imposed on item X, is going to affect us in AFC, the document, and that's the basis for going forward. The second bit is that we then also do data collection that relates to these sectors. If you're going to government and saying that you want to have that this new measure is going to negatively impact the economy, you need to quantify and say these are the number of jobs in this sector, this is the contribution to tax. If you do this, this is going to be the impact, real figures. That requires research and that requires data collection. So that's part of what we are doing. Relatedly, crossing on leveraging other ecosystem players. One of the things we're working on now is that realizing the gap in tax-related BDS support. We are at advanced stages of setting up, of working with one of the ecosystem players to provide advisory services for all our members at no cost. Because we believe that one of the key challenges of businesses is failure to understand the tax code. It's quite complex in so many different roles. I need someone in the center to advise. So the advisory service is coming on board and we're working with one of the ecosystem partners. We are also working with entities like PCP. I'm glad Dr. Singoma is online. And because of leveraging his strengths, we've been able to introduce some key players to him for financing and for preparation for financing. And because of that, we are seeing traction in the number of entities that are coming in to seek this kind of alternative financing. But it's a marathon, not a sprint. And it's something we keep working on. Imoka, on the issue of cost of communication, politics on that. But like every organization, we do have, when I was at the URI celebration, there was a mention of Judases and Simon Peters. So they could be, you could have landed on the Judas, but you'll also be glad to learn that since you last talked to them, we've had a significant restructuring as an entity, and we're now more streamlined and more forward-looking. So don't give up on us. Come back. Let's have a conversation. And these are our laid out team and chats. I mean, my email address is everywhere, and so is the main email address. But I'm also on social media, and I try to respond as quickly as I can. So come on board. Please come on board. Don't give up just yet, because it's not in the nature of entrepreneurs to give up. It's supposed to be resilient. So if one door closes, find a ventilator and still get it alone. I don't know if I missed any question. Nothing else.
All right, great. So thanks a lot, guys. I was checking whether a couple of messages online. Yeah, I think Dan, thanks for that submission. It's clear that there is a lot of work to get done. One of the lessons I like most in entrepreneurship literature is a lesson on locus of control. And the argument in the lesson is that there are things which are in your external locus of control and things which are in your internal locus of control. The thing which makes entrepreneurs unique is their focus on their internal locus of control, the things which are in their control. What is in our control today, we have met as ecosystem players, we have listened to Dan. Dan has even laid out an offer for us to engage. That is in our locus of control. So if Moses can engage with Dan and something happens in the timber sector, that's success for this meeting. It's a worthwhile investment. We want that to happen. We want you to keep engaging, we want you to keep winning. And the truth is that it is easy, the work which we do is hard to quantify, because usually we are not the people who take the trophy when we succeed. The entrepreneurs are the ones who take the trophy when we succeed. So when a lot of my boss keeps saying that the true test of a BDS provider is if the person he has been supporting says that the success is as a result of me as the entrepreneur. So the entrepreneur is going to say that I have succeeded on my own. And as a BDS provider, that is successful because the entrepreneur is always supposed to be an independent party. So I want to encourage you, let's keep going. Remember that the Global Entrepreneurship Week is within by the third week of November. Abib is our point person on this. We are going to come to you to request you to do at least one activity during this week. And that activity should be done within what you already do. The entrepreneurs you have, it could be just hosting a live event during that week. It could be just engaging with entrepreneurs. It could be just engaging on your social media presence during that week. We want to use the branding material as much as possible for the Global Entrepreneurship Week. Abib will be sharing that. Please make sure that you have built your contact with us so that we can be able to engage with you more directly. But more than anything, we want to win as businesses. One of the things which is clear is there isn't a household in this country which isn't dealing with this challenge of where is the job of the young person that also going to come from. And when Daniel talked about the fact that one manufacturing job causes a loss of 4 jobs externally, that's the question we need to ask. That's the question we need. There is a sector which we have optimized. Yesterday I was participating in the Stanbic Schools Championship, and the minister said that there is a honey expo in Dubai where the best honey is taken. The best honey, coolest honey is supposed to be what they call rainforest honey. That means most of the honey which comes from northern Uganda, from all the rural areas, would qualify for rainforest honey, because it has been in forests. But the issue is that it has to be tested and it has to be a quality. And then someone will make an order of every week, I want you to deliver 100 tons of honey. And by the 3rd week, we don't know where that honey is, isn't it? How do we grow those systems which can be able to collect it, to make sure that quality is there? That is why players like Uganda Manufacturers Association exist. That's why all of us exist. We exist because we want to create that entrepreneur. Nothing is cheaper. There is no better way to get money for a country than to export a company. A company exported is such a powerful tool. There are so many companies which have been exported in Uganda. You know that they were sent by their mother countries to collect money. We also want to send our brands out there to be able to collect money. That's the battle which we are here to do. But as ecosystem players, as we help the companies that people we serve to win, we also have to stand with each other, make sure that our doors are open. One of the reasons why we are keen to make sure, and there are many other players who are doing this. The Kampala Entrepreneur Ecosystem Initiative is doing this. I do know UEI is doing this. The idea is that we want to make sure that we are meeting, we are energizing one another, we are solving each other's problems. I have someone who is looking for certification. Possibly if I talk to Daniel, Daniel can be able to solve that problem for me. It's a win on my side. My entrepreneur wins, but Daniel, it's a win because he creates a manufacturer. That is the conversation we need to have. So we are going to make sure that we do this more. Our objective was to at least make sure it's quarterly to be able to win. But we need to do this more. We have heard from Uganda Manufacturers Association. We want to hear from other organizations subsequently. Why? If an entrepreneur asks that, how can I be able to certify my product? You should be able to answer that question. And that person should be able to speed there. They should be within our WhatsApp group. So my entrepreneur is located in Gulu and he needs this help. Who is on the ground to be able to give that help? As we do that, our work will be done and our relevance will be maintained. So I want to thank everyone who has joined us today. Please The people who are online will apologize. We have eaten the breakfast on your behalf. But that's how things are, isn't it? So we'll allow you and release you to also go and have your breakfast. But I want to thank you so much for joining us. It's an honor to have you. Please leave your contact, leave your email address on the WhatsApp so that we can be able to get them. Other people who are here, we have managed to do that. BGC. Oh yes, there is a quick question here from Marigia from Profit. Good presentation, great presentation from Uma. Would just like to mention that there are other sectors such as Profit that offer funding and BDS for entrepreneurs. Yes, I think Marigia, that is a powerful statement. Dan, I'm going to request a bit to post your number within the link. Please get in touch with Dan, give him a call and tell him that how can we do business. I think there is very few entrepreneurs you meet and they say I have an abundance of capital. Capital is too much. I don't know how to even use this money which I have. But if you meet that entrepreneur, they are usually not a Ugandan one, isn't it? But a Ugandan entrepreneur always is looking for what? For capital. So if Profit can engage with your network and be able to get facilitation, we have people from different parts of the country. I've known Mr. Nono for quite a while actually. I think for the better part of about 13 years now. And there are people doing things in various parts of the country. So if you are an ecosystem player going to Bulu, look up Mr. Nono. I think we'll share the attendance sheet and the contacts and say that, you know what, you're in this place, how do we engage? But let's not, you know, sometimes when you see how bad things are in the sector, how bad things are with your entrepreneurs, you also join the party of money, isn't it? And you catch yourself also as sad as your entrepreneurs. Your entrepreneurs come to you to energize them, then you tell them, I agree with you, things are bad, we are finished. So that is not what a BDS player should be. What? Should be doing. That's not your job. Your job is to make sure that you are lifting someone and giving them the facts, but you are lifting them up. Yeah. A quick comment here, let me just read it before we close. Yeah, Julius Kagamba. Julius, quality standards volumes, by the way, when I was serving in Moscow, Ugandans exhibited hardly at an expo, and a month later, we got a letter from the Russian government informing the embassy that the health authorities of Russia had taken a sample of the honey exhibited by Ugandans and had found that the honey had excellent quality and wanted us to connect them to the Ugandan honey producers. But unfortunately, the volumes were too low. There lies an opportunity. The point is that you will get the contract. They will say this honey is great and we really like it. So give us, at least, start off with a small, modest 200, 500 tons. And then you notice that the tons are many, isn't it? There is that story I like. I don't know, you all had the story of the Minister of Finance and his engagement with goats. Yeah, say goats we have in Uganda. There are many, every household has goats. But a container of goats can be a very complex thing to do, isn't it? And that's the challenge. That's the challenge of the manufacturers. I know manufacturers who have gone into producing sunflower because they can't collect enough sunflower from the farmers. That's what has been BDS providers are supposed to do, to make it easy. And those are tough questions. They are complex questions. Some of them are policy, some of them are the entrepreneur themselves. Also, entrepreneurs get excited, they get the loan for something, and all of a sudden we find they have used the loan for something completely different. All those are the challenges we are dealing with. How do you tell the entrepreneur that if you have borrowed money to buy a machine, don't buy land at a discount because it is cheap, isn't it? Those are the questions which we are dealing with. And I believe that all of us as players, we are moving. One thing which I'll inform you is that at Enterprise Uganda, we are part of the broader process of developing what we call a national BDS framework. And a bit of what it is supposed to do is to kind of show how do we fit together, because there are various BDS providers. When you talk about Pearl Capital is a BDS provider to be able, growth BDS provider to be able to fill that gap. But then at the same time, there are those of us who are into providing support, technical support, advisory services. There are people who are into certification. There are people who are into how you cross over to another country. How do you make those networks? And we want to make sure that we expand these families. Every district has a district commercial officer. He's a BDS provider, by and large. And how do we convert and harness his energy? Those are the questions which we need to ask ourselves and be able to transfer our skills. Other than that, we want to say thank you. Thank you so much for your time. We are very glad that you joined us, and we look forward to further engagements. Please keep the WhatsApp groups moving and keep engaging with one another. We want to say a special thank you to Dan for sharing your heart with us. We will feel the passion of the job which you have. So thank you so much for joining us today. It's indeed an honor. So I'll hand over to Abi to say bye to us. Yeah?
Thank you very much. A bit interesting that Dan studied IT and ends up managing Uganda Factors Association. It shows that the changing times of where it is more about what is needed and what you really studied. So we have to get into that, and we are hoping that this year's GW we are going to have more ecosystem engagement. Like Ronald has mentioned, there have been a lot of ecosystem initiatives that are happening all over, but we are a bit in a silo. Each person is doing something on their own, and they're not really reaching out to others. The good thing, more things are happening like this. There are more ecosystems that are happening, and people are reaching out to each other. Like Ronald mentioned, Real, UEE, KIW, Kampala Ecosystem, Entrepreneur Ecosystem Network. A lot of people are doing these things. Yesterday, as in the nutrition ecosystem network, and I was saying, hey, actually, I can even put this to the BDS. In an IT ecosystem network, we're like, hey, we can actually link all of this together. So the engagement that we want to do for GW this year, Global Entrepreneurship Week, is how can we get all these people networked together? So we are going to ask for everybody just pitch in, send out ideas. We are also bookmarking against other countries, see how they've done it. And we are recognizing that it is important that not one particular ecosystem actor owns the process. It has to be a collaboration. So how do we also get that? We find that in the past there have been these attempts, but that thing of I'm the one who's owning it, I'm the one who's doing this, this has sort of off-put some alcohol from participating. So how do we get these pitch fests moving all over? How do we get ecosystem meetings that are there every Friday on Zoom to be open to other people? How do we get the booking group things that are open every Tuesday? Yeah, I'm talking about things that we do, but still, there are a lot of ecosystems that are happening. So we need to get this together. The creative industry, a key part. How do we get it moving? In the room, we have a few people in the creative industry. We have people who are doing more of spotlighting entrepreneurs. So this GW, we're trying to see, can we use the manufacturing sector as one example and get ecosystem actors to rally around that. So this year we are requesting that we do GW activity, where you request to look at a problem, one issue that you think your organization can solve. We shall have all these activities that you come up with in the same week of Global Entrepreneurship Week, from 8th to 14th of November. And we can actually have them all in one place, such that all the different actors and all the entrepreneurs just know what's happening. And we keep these engagements going all throughout the year, so they don't die after this and then you ask, hey, last year, Kumbe, what did we say? No, we should have some. opportunity to present. So in case you have a particular issue that Dan talked about and you think the organization can come up with a solution, please reach out to us. We organize around it and then have this engagement drawn out to the public during GW or throughout the month of November. Thank you very much to everybody that attended virtually. I don't know if there are any comments on chat. Yeah, please post your comments, your email addresses, and we shall also get the recording available to you on all the forums that you can find. This has been recorded on Zoom, also recorded on YouTube. Thank you very much. So, for our people here virtually, we're going to end the meeting, but you can continue. We're going to stop the live stream. For people here physically, please enjoy that.